Good evening, Range of Beauties, and welcome to the Pink Politics Show. On Wednesday, December the 18th, 2019, the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives voted to impeach Republican President Donald J. Trump. Democratic House Speaker and mouthpiece for Michael Bloomberg's extreme political views, Nancy Pelosi, said that lies, obstruction, abusing power, and defying Congress were the charges that led to Trump becoming the third president in United States history to be impeached. Now, Trump's impeachment has dominated news headlines across the United States. One of the most powerful media outlets that it's dominated is the cable news network. Both left-wing and right-wing television political shows have given it wall-to-wall coverage, and their opinions on the historic event reflects the big divide over whether Trump should be driven from the Oval Office. For example, CNN President Jeff Zucker and MSNBC CEO Brian Roberts have instructed their employees to say that Trump is getting exactly what he deserves. Every employee of the two cable television news channels is making the case for why House Democrats were justified in impeaching Trump. Christmas, after all, is the season for giving, and everyone except Zucker, Roberts, and a large proportion of their employees who may celebrate Hanukkah like they do can use a bonus check. Rupert Murdoch's employees over at Fox News, on the other hand, are making the case for why House Democrats were not justified in impeaching the 45th president. Fox News host Sean Hannity and his Republican guest are saying that Trump is being hunted like a sorcerer who spiked the village well of water with a potion that makes every registered Democrat cry inconsolably for hours, just like Chuck Schumer did over the travel ban. Now, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a clip of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer crying.
This executive order was mean-spirited and un-American. It was implemented in a way that created chaos and confusion across the country, and it will only serve to embolden and inspire those around the globe who will do us harm.
I'm wondering, is it just me, or do you think that Schumer could teach a course at his dopey alma mater, Harvard University, titled An Actor's Guide to Tears and Crying on Cue? Anywho, this story has prompted strong reactions from politicians, pundits, and ordinary people on the right and left. And although giving you our perspective on what it means for Black America would be interesting, we're not going to weigh in on the impeachment. Trump's impeachment narrative is clearly spelled out as a partisan fight between two political parties whose leaders disagree about much, while at the same time agreeing firmly on the need to avoid presenting a reparations package and a Black agenda that will help Black American women and our male counterparts. So we won't tell you whether we agree or disagree with the House's decision to impeach the president, but we won't totally deviate from the story. What we will do is focus on one of the lesser-known players in this whole impeachment process. Now, only in a liberal, extremist-controlled America can a person come here illegally and then be rewarded with American citizenship, a job as a U.S. congressman, and the power to vote on the impeachment of a U.S. president. This story that I'm about to tell you highlights the Democrats' cunning plan to give people who aren't from here, who shouldn't have the right to be here, and who broke the laws by their very presence, unprecedented levels of power over you. Adriano Espaillat is the first former illegal immigrant to ever serve in Congress. He's from the Dominican Republic, a country where a number of Black American tourists were found mysteriously dead earlier this year. He's the representative for New York's 13th Congressional District, a district that includes the most historic neighborhood in America, Harlem. Now, anyone who lives in America knows that Harlem is home to the world-famous Apollo Theater. The Apollo Theater's popular slogan, "Where stars are born and legends are made," is no exaggeration. For more than 8 decades, the Apollo Theater has not only showcased an astounding roster of Black American comedy and music stars, but also launched many of their careers. Pioneers of jazz, swing, bebop, rhythm and blues, soul, funk, and hip hop all performed at the legendary music hall, helping to transform American and international music and culture. Harlem, up until recently, was also known as the cultural hub and capital of Black America. Because of white domestic terrorism, many Black Americans left the rural South to live in the slightly less racist urban cities of the North, Midwest, and West from about 1916 to 1970. And out of all the neighborhoods that Black Americans began to build a new place for themselves in the country their ancestors were forced to build, Harlem emerged as the one that exerted the greatest influence on Black life around the nation. Now, the greatest political leader of Harlem was the legendary Black American freedom fighter and spiritual leader, Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. Powell, in fact, was the U.S. representative for the Harlem neighborhood, which encompasses New York's 13th Congressional District from 1945 to 1971. As a congressman, he supported the passage of important social and civil rights for his fellow Black Americans. In the year 1971, however, this tireless advocate for Black American progress was undermined by an unscrupulous individual named Charlie Rangel. Fast forward to the present day, and it turns out that the current U.S. House member representing the 13th District of New York has no historical connection to what I just said. And that's because his people were, and to a large extent still are, in the Dominican Republic, which of course is a country with an extremely racist, anti-Black past and present. Melanistic ladies, I know that it's hard to believe, but a foreign national who snuck into our country and who was living here illegally is now the political leader of Harlem, USA. Here's a clip of anti-Black American globalist and national security threat Chuck Schumer speaking gleefully about Espaillat's infiltration of our government at his swearing-in ceremony.
Faithfully discharge.
That I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office.
the duties of the office.
Member of the United States House of Representatives.
Member of the United States House of Representatives.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I love the story of Adriano. He's the first congressman ever to be elected to Congress who was formerly undocumented.
He's the first congressman ever to be elected to Congress who was formerly undocumented. Yep, gone are the days when Adam Clayton Powell Jr. would fight against white racism through legislation and actions from inside the government. Espaillat is going to use the House seat that Congressman Powell made famous to, surprise, surprise, fight for every illegal immigrant who wants to replace Black American women's community. Schumer wasted no time in using Espaillat to help him push their Democratic extremist agenda, which includes impeaching a president who, according to them, is disrupting that very agenda. Watch Espaillat wag his finger at Republicans and make one of the most contradictory statements ever in a speech on the House floor.
If you live on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, you are not above the law.
You are not above the law. Honestly, I would laugh if I didn't think it was a serious threat to Black American women's community future. In other words, what he and his fellow Democrats are saying is that no one is above the law except for anyone who's snuck into our country and who might potentially vote Democrat, like him. Now, did you hear that? His political party is claiming diplomatic immunity on his and others like him behalf. You know, such apparent political corruption should concern every Black American because of the dangerous precedent it sets. I mean, first of all, the Democrats are saying that people who aren't from here can compete with you for political power. They're also saying that people who aren't from here can become lawmakers. What does that mean? Well, it means that legal and illegal immigrants will get the policies they want from the government more often than you, because they'll be the politicians who make up the government. And if you think that immigrants and their descendants are going to push policies that make life better for you, think again. Actually, we can't even get the Democrats to present policies that will benefit our communities now. But when the majority of Congress is comprised of people with foreign backgrounds, it will only get worse, if that's even possible. all of the hard-earned gains that our ancestors fought, bled, and died for us to have will either be dismantled or used to benefit immigrants, whether legal or illegal, and their descendants. Now, we believe this is the first illegal immigrant turned politician story, but it won't be the last unless you stop it. And how do you stop it? Well, you stop it by not voting for any Democratic candidates, whether at the federal, state, or local level. In other words, don't vote for Democratic presidential nominees, gubernatorial candidates, senatorial candidates, mayoral candidates, or candidates for city council person. Don't even vote for a Democratic dog catcher. Let the Democratic Party collapse. Thank you for joining us. I'm Taylor Washington, and this is Pink Politics, where Black womanhood and politics converge. That's good.